Okay, so welcome. Hello to all of you. Thank you, all of you, for giving up your time and coming to this webinar. My name is Trevor Emden, for those of you who don't know me, and I will introduce myself more fully in a moment or two. Let me just tell you what we're going to cover here today in this presentation, because I think that I'm going to take you through something in quite an unusual way. It's called Broke Zero to Profit Hero, partly because that's kind of catchy and it sort of rhymes, and also because it does describe where we're going. And as you can see, I've put on the screen, on the slide, become a highly paid expert online in virtually any field in under 8 weeks, even if you think you know nothing right now. Now, the point of that last phrase is really key to this, because what I'm going to tell you about is really two things that, when you put them together, is like sort of success alchemy. And those two things are what makes all the difference, and why this is not your usual this is how to make money online presentation. I hope you will see what I mean and bear that out as I go through the presentation. I've put in under 8 weeks because some of my coaching clients have taken as much as that. I can tell you that when I did this, which is now getting on for 1.5 years ago, when I put this into practice, I got to that initial level of success, which was enough to be sure that I could leave my day job in about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, something like that. I had some pieces already in place, which helped. So if you're starting from absolute zero, you can achieve something equivalent or better in 8 weeks or less. So that's the promise. I hope that that's an agenda that excites you. Let's start moving through the slides. So first thing to say is, put your credit card away. There will be nothing you can buy here today. I am going to tell you about an opportunity, but it's not for sale today. You can't buy it today. No money is going to change hands on this presentation. I absolutely promise you. So that's that covers that, I think. So let me tell you a little bit about me and why I'm here, who I am, and why you are, in fact, listening to me. I'm just going to move my slides slightly because I'm trying to see both screens at once. So I'm Trevor Emden, as I said, and I've called this slide How I Got Free. And what I mean by that is free to live life on my terms, free to do what I love for a living. I no longer have to wake up to an alarm clock. Hooray! I am no longer beholden to a boss who tells me when to show up, what to wear, when I can have time off. It's up to me to make those decisions. It's also up to me, of course, to make money appear in my life. And I know from years of personal experience and also years of now coaching people and helping people how scary that sounds. Because you know that when you go to work, that's a 4-letter word, by the way, and job is a 3-letter word, but the initials JOB stand for just over broke, because that's how the work system works. Always pay you not just enough to keep you going and keep you coming back, but never enough to enable you to leave. That's how jobs work. So when you don't have one of those, there's no such thing as payday anymore, and that feels very scary to people. And it felt very scary to me for a very long time. I'm not an exception to that rule, and I'm neither extremely brave, nor, I hope, am I extremely stupid. And that's why this presentation is different. So my own story, I've got some bullets here, which were supposed to appear one at a time, but we'll just have to work through them. My own story is that it's been a story since my early teens, really, late childhood, early teens, of a search for a success, happiness, and fulfillment. Well, these days that I know where it is, so I've stopped searching. But it started back then because of a series of personal tragedies in our family. Went from the age of 7 which went on over a 6-year period until I was 13. And that left me in a place that was very, very different from where I'd been 6 years before, and realizing that life could throw some real brickbats at you, and they were out of your control. And I wanted to understand how to be happy, really, how to live life in a way that was fulfilling, and for as long as possible, because it seemed to me the only thing that was inevitable was that one day I wouldn't be here anymore, and that was the only guarantee anyone could ever give me about anything. So so that didn't seem a satisfactory kind of formula to me, that, you know, I just got this random hand dealt to me, and that at any time, you know, some brick could fall on my head or something, and it was really out of my control and none of my business. And whether I got to safely to the grave, as it were, seemed to be a matter of nothing but random luck. And I didn't really like that feeling of being totally out of control. How does anybody get happy, was my sort of question at the age of 13, 14, when there is so much to be afraid of. That's how it seemed to me. But I was determined to find a way. So as I went through my teens, I eventually trained in psychiatry, and then later in various psychotherapies, including NLP. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry. It's not necessary for what we're talking about here today, but it will. I will explain what I need to about that as we go through. And eventually I began writing. I began writing for professional journals and magazines. I was published, I think, 5 times in the late 80s and early 90s in the Nursing Times here in the UK, which is a national magazine for that profession, and paid for it. And realized that I had a skill of teaching and writing, personal development, self-help, whatever kind of label you want to give that. And then I wanted to do more of that, and then the internet came along, and so I looked at, well, how do I reach people? And here's a way that I can reach people. I thought, naively at the time, without going through editors and magazine editors and publishing agents and that kind of thing. It was fairly naive, of course, because although you can publish things online, of course, it's become a much bigger place now than it was 10 years or so ago, 10, 15 years ago. It's still, I still had to learn something about marketing so I could find my audience. So I tried to learn something about marketing. It seemed to me like a maze of snakes to begin with, because it just seemed very, very complicated. And then eventually I realized that there are some simple principles that can be applied in multiple ways. And eventually I found a coach who showed me some simple steps that worked, and they will work over and over again. They will never not work. There may be different methods of delivering them as technology and so on evolves, but the principles are the same because they apply to people and not to computers. And so that's how I got free of the day job, and also free to live life on my terms and in my way. So that's those are my credentials, if you like. That's why I'm qualified to be here. So let me tell you what those steps are. The steps basically that the coach taught me. These are my own words, but this is what you need to do. Because, and I'm telling you about what to do first, but in a minute I'm going to shift that emphasis, and you'll see why. I don't want to say too much about that at the moment. I'm being a bit cagey about that. I know I'm being a little bit teasy and intriguing, but there is a reason. First, you have to find your message. That is to say, a painful problem that you have solved. Now, when I speak to people, and by the way, if you have questions, please put them in the chat box. I have to move my slides to be able to see the chat box, but I can see, and I will answer them at the end. So please, if they occur to you, rather than thinking, oh, what does he mean by that, just type them in as we go along, and I will I'll come back to them and I'll go through them at the end. So the first step is to find your message, which I say is a painful problem that you've solved. Now, that painful problem, I've used that phrase here because it has such an enormous broad spectrum. It could be almost anything. It could be, you know, how to get rid of a big zit that comes up on your nose when you've got an important date that night. If you know a way to get rid of nose zits in less than 12 hours for people going on a first date, you've got a market probably, all right? It could be how to overcome a broken heart, or it could be, as I've done with a number of people now, how to get your book published and successfully find a market for that. So the word painful doesn't necessarily have to mean physical or even emotional pain, although often that is that those have very big markets and very big interest. What's important for you to realize and to get your head around is that when people go onto search engines, Google and so on, when you do it, think about it, you almost always will go looking for a solution to some kind of problem. Now, it may be that you say to me, well, I go looking for information. You know, I want to know when Shakespeare died, or when Henry VIII married his fifth wife or something. I'm doing a project, or my children are doing homework. That may be. It's still, in a way, a solution to a problem, although I agree there wouldn't be much pain with those. But I'm talking about the kinds of things that as we go through life, we have to figure out. None of us have arrived at adulthood, and I'm fairly confident that nobody attending this webinar is a child. So none of us have reached adulthood without figuring out some ways of overcoming some of the hurdles that all of us have to jump through life. Yours will be specific to you, so I can only speculate and talk in very general terms, but I'm talking about things like, if you've had children, for example, how to get your toddler to sleep, or if you've had some health challenge, how you get rid of some sort of skin rash, or how you overcome a digestive problem. And it may be that you found a way, or it might be a grandma's remedy kind of thing, that has worked for you, a shortcut, a tip, something that makes you feel better quickly in some way. You might know how to train your cat to play catch. I don't know, but something that solves a problem that other people have. I was going to say, probably not too many people who want their cats to play catch, but hopefully you get my point, that something that you have figured out. Now, I'm hoping that I'm beginning to prise your brain open a little bit, because what happens in many people, maybe you're the exception, but what happens in many people when I start talking to them about you need to help somebody else solve problem X, is that their immediate and very confident reaction is, but I know nothing. I have nothing of importance to say. And yet, if we brought your friends in here, or maybe your children, if they're old enough and you've brought them up now, or even your siblings or your parents or someone who knows you quite well, and I was to say to them, or we were to ask them, what does whoever you are, you know, what do they know? That, you know, and they say, oh, well, they always got a good idea about such and such. You know, they always know how to come up with the perfect Christmas present for absolutely everybody. I can never think of what to buy. It's always, you know, what do you give the man or the woman or the child who has everything? And they've always got an idea. That's something that other people need help with, isn't it? Or it might be, I know there's a guy over here in the UK who made an absolute fortune. He's a multi-millionaire now, But he made an absolute fortune because back in the late 90s, I think, early 2000s, he was trying to buy a property in, I can't remember which country it was, one of the Eastern Bloc countries that opened up the property market to the UK. And he found out a lot of stuff. He never bought one in the end, but he found out a lot of stuff about how to do it. He was a postman, worked for the post office over here, delivering mail. Okay? And he just knew, in the end, because he wanted to find out for himself what all the loopholes and hurdles and things that you had to overcome to buy a property. And I can't remember what Eastern Bloc country it was, but I remember him telling the story. I went to a live event where he spoke on stage, and he eventually realized that a lot of people wanted to know that, and he wrote a little booklet about it, which he published online. And I think, if I remember the story correctly, he put it up for £10. I don't think it was sold in dollars because it was only for the UK. And then he went to work as a postman, and when he came back, there was £100 in his bank because 10 people had bought that little book. And the next day he went to work and there was another £100. And that kept going on, and he began to realize he'd cottoned onto something here. If you know something that other people could benefit from knowing too, you have a message. So then the step 2 is to put those questions and answers together to create a product. Now, what you do then is a little bit of research, and I can show you how to do that, into what are the questions specifically, or not specifically, but the big questions that people online are asking about the topic that you happen to know something about. Now, you need to be a little bit careful here, because the big mistake that a lot of people make in marketing is, oh, I've got a good idea, everyone will want to know that, they create the product, and then they find that really nobody's very interested in it. That's putting the cart before the horse, or that's having the tail wagging the dog, or whatever way around, whatever creature we're talking about here. That doesn't work, or generally it doesn't. If it does, it's by luck, not judgment, and certainly not by good marketing. You need to find out what are the actual pain points about the problem that people are asking. And if you can't find anything that people are asking, then you haven't got a painful enough problem. So that's your market research, but it's so easy to do now. Just go onto Google, go onto forums, go onto Facebook groups, and find out what people are talking about. And you will often come to places, blogs even, certainly on Facebook, where people are talking about a subject that you're interested in, and you think, oh, well, I know the answer to that. Why do people keep asking that question? There's a big clue there. You could be the one who actually could sell that information in the end. Okay, so then step 3, tell people who are in a similar position or similar pain that you have the answer. Let them know, hey, I'm here. You raise your hand, and by doing that, you pretty much automatically achieve step 4, which, as you can see, is to attract customers, and then you must become available to them in some personal way, a bit like what I'm doing now. You can do Hangouts, you can do interviews, you can be on Facebook groups. It's not difficult to appear in public, as it were, these days, and still keep your personal life separate from it, of course, because the internet gives us all our own broadcasting station. I mean, do you realize how incredible that is? We are living in a time like no other generation has ever had, not only throughout all of history, but until absolutely up to the last 10 years or so, even less than that, really. I know the internet's been around 15 plus years in its usable form, a bit more than that in actuality, but in the form it's in now, with the fast speeds of broadband that we have and the ability to upload and play videos and so on, it has never been available before. We are the first, we are the pioneers of being able to broadcast to the whole world, if we want to, from our kitchen table or our spare bedroom, or even from inside your bed, if you like. So being available is not onerous, and it's certainly not even expensive anymore. So I imagine that you are there, and this is the point where if you've got questions about what I've just said, please put them in the chat box. I will look later on. that you're possibly saying to me, well, Trevor, that's easy to say, but, and then you have these objections. Something like, I'm nobody special with nothing important to say, which I've already talked about, but I will come back to. I don't have a clue how to find customers. In other words, I don't know the marketing skills. I don't have the technical skills. I haven't got a clue how to build a website. I've never used Facebook in my life. I don't want to be on Facebook is an objection I often get. It's a waste of time. I really don't want to know that, people have darned their socks this morning. Or then the personal ones. I don't have the confidence. I don't have the time. Or I don't have you fill in the blank, some other excuse. And please, by the way, excuse the word excuse. It's going to be very helpful to you. This is not about beating yourself up or blaming yourself. It's about realizing that you have a choice. So let me just knock a little bit of those down. I'm nobody special with nothing important to say. Actually, you are extraordinarily special. Do you realize that there are 7 billion people plus, allegedly, because I've not counted them personally, on this planet right now? I am told that it is estimated that before us there were also 7 billion, which shows how pretty crowded we are now, because there have been 7 billion people who've come and gone, and there are now 7 billion people alive all at one time. We don't know how many more are yet to come after us, but the world population is expected to plateau by about the year 2030, 35, I think, at 11 billion. But there will only ever be one you. That makes you incredibly important, unbelievably, pricelessly valuable. And then you say, but I've got nothing important, I have nothing special, I've got nothing important to say. Well, it may well be that you know the answer or the solution to a particular problem that lots of other people know the answer to as well. Well, guess what? That's no big deal. In fact, that's very reassuring, because if you know the answer to something that really nobody else has ever thought of before, unless it is world-shattering, and of course that's possible, think of Edison and his light bulb, the first one to actually think of putting electricity through filaments of wire and stuff. That was life-changing. And every so often people do come up with that kind of stuff. So that might be you. But the chances are the majority of us don't come up with that kind of stuff. I'm certainly not the first person to have thought of a marketing idea, and marketing online and solving problems online. Of course not. But here's what's different. You are the only person who can express it and explain it your way. Now, just for an example, I was giving, I did a live workshop a little while back, and I was explaining something to the group about law of attraction. And there was a gentleman in the group whom I bumped into actually quite recently, and he said it again to me. There was a gentleman in the group who was, he's retired, so I think he's in his 60s, very bright man with obviously a lively mind. And I explained something, and I put up a slide and I explained it. It's a very simple slide, very simple diagram. And he went, got it. You're the first person that's made me realize, see that. That's really brilliantly put. And when I saw him just recently, it was a couple of months or more since I did the live thing, and I said, oh, hello, how are you? And he said, that thing that you said, that's really made a difference. That one thing. Now, he's heard that concept before, but he's never heard me say it before. So what you have to realize is you're a kind of a brand. Your uniqueness makes you a brand. There is no one else who can do what you do the way you do it. And so I'm hoping as well that I'm partly eroding the I haven't got the confidence excuse as well, because what you need is the confidence to be you. And what many people do is say, oh, but look at so-and-so, they're brilliant at it and I could never do it like that. Well, don't try and do it like that. Do it your way. because I guarantee you again that if we could bring your friends in and ask them, what does whoever you are, have they ever explained something to you that made you see it or see it a different way? And they go, oh, yes, yes, yes. They explained some big political issue to me that I'd never thought of it that way before, and it completely changed the way I see things now, perhaps, whatever. Because you say it or you explain it in a way that makes people get it, and other things you can't. Like if you ask me what goes on under the bonnet or the hood, if you're in America, of my car, how it works, I haven't got a clue. Well, I have a few clues, but don't ask me to fix it. I pay a man to do that. I don't know and I don't care. I don't like that kind of thing. I'm not interested in mechanical things. I like the car, but I like it from the driver's perspective. I want to get in it, turn the key, and the engine will start, and it'll get me safely from A to B, safely and in comfort. That's what I want it to do. If it starts making funny noises or doing odd things, I take it to a man that fixes it for me. And he's happy because he loves fixing cars. And so I help to keep him in work, and he helps to free up my time so I can do more of what I love. It's a win-win. You don't have to be an expert at everything. You just need to know what you're good at. Right? I don't have a clue how to find customers. Well, guess what? It's not that difficult, and you can find out. It's not difficult now because we have the internet. Where are most of your customers likely to be? Probably on Facebook. And there are groups of them. They don't call themselves Joe Bloggs' customers. They call themselves butterfly collectors or fishing enthusiasts or whatever it is that you happen to know something about. Right? But you get in there and you start talking to them, and then you know that you can solve one problem. It doesn't have to be everything. One little but niggly problem is enough. And I don't have the technical skills. Well, either you figure them out too, and you don't need very many, or guess what? You pay someone like I pay my mechanic man to do it for you. It doesn't have to be expensive. Websites you can get for free or for very, very little. And for, I'm often talking to American friends, less than $100, which is about £65 in the UK, you could set yourself up online. That's less than peanuts to be starting a business that could free you to do what you love for the rest of your life. Okay, and I don't have the confidence, the time, or some other excuse. Well, the confidence, we'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. The time, yes, you do. You have exactly the same amount of time as multi-billionaires. You have 24 hours in every day. It's how you choose to prioritize that's making the difference to that. And I know you've got 10 children and 3 jobs and 2 husbands and 4 wives, and I know all of that stuff. But actually, there will be, I guarantee you, if you don't think you have the time, try this little process. Okay, there are, to save you working it out, 168 hours in a week, 7 times 24. Okay, let's assume that you sleep 8 hours a day. Right, that's 56 hours out of that 168. Okay, that leaves 112 hours. Okay, then if you have a day job, that's so many hours a week, maybe 40 plus commuting time. That takes it up to maybe 50 or 55. Right, start calculating, and then what I want you to do when you've thought of absolutely everything you do, including leisure and pleasure and even watching the soaps, everything you do, see how much is left over. And I bet you'll find 10 to 15, maybe even 20 hours that you can't account for. What are you doing in all that time? All right, try it. Try it. I know everyone's will come out different, but it can be quite an eye-opening little exercise to do that. Okay, let's move on. Because now we're at the point where I'm beginning to, as I say, prise open your mind to the point where you are, at least I hope, playing with the idea that maybe you have a choice about how you live, how you spend the next phase or even maybe the rest of your life. Because you can do nothing. That is an option that you have. But if you do nothing, the rest of the world won't go on pause for you. Life will not stay the same, and it will pass you by. People will get older, tides will turn, technology will advance, things will change around you, and you will become stagnant. And regrets hurt after a while. Do you think this woman in this seaside postcard image, if she never gets in the water 20, 30 years down the line, she'll remember that moment? I could have got in. They do hurt after a while. You know, you might think you're being safe, but your retreat into safety ultimately will imprison you and limit you. And thirdly, you don't actually know what you can do until you try. And I'm willing to bet that there are many things that you can think of, examples throughout your own life, that you thought, I didn't think I would ever be able to do that, and now I do it without even thinking. And for me, that includes things like being able to build websites. At one point, it would have included getting published and paid as a professional writer, which I now know that I can do too. But there was a time when who, me? All of that stuff. And look at the last point here. Comfort zones become uncomfortable eventually. It may feel comfortable. No, I don't do that. No, I'm not that kind of person. I don't do that. But ultimately, if you stay in your comfort zone and never, ever, ever leave it, it just becomes a straitjacket. It gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter until you can't move and everyone else is having fun and achieving results around you and you're not getting them. Now, can you see, are you beginning to experience that I'm moving you from what to do, which was a couple of slides back, to how to be? Because this is key to how I got free and how I'm coaching other people to get free, and it's working. You can't just follow a recipe. This is not making chocolate cake. You can teach a child to make a chocolate cake or cookies or something by following a recipe. That's technique, 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 technique. But what I'm talking about here, and this is the thing that I know scares people, what I'm talking about here is actually making other people's lives somehow a little bit better by solving a problem of some kind. Now, I know there are other ways to make money, for example, online, for example, by selling other people's products. You can sell Amazon's products. Some people do. Some people do it very well. But for me, that wouldn't be fulfilling. I really, there's a big push at the moment recently for a program to do with selling on Amazon. And I was looking at one of the some of the publicity about that, and it said, look, we found this bestseller, and it was a dog basket, I think. Now, it may be a bestseller, and people who are maybe promoting that dog basket to their affiliates are maybe making a killing financially. But personally, I don't give a fig about dog baskets. I don't think that would get me out of bed in the morning, even though it might make me, I have no idea, didn't explore it, might make me a lot of money, but I don't know and I don't care. I'm talking about you coming into some kind of limelight saying, hey, I'm here and I can help with this, whatever the this is, and you fill in that blank. Okay? And when you do that, I know that that becomes, for some people, a little uncomfortable because it makes people feel, who, me? What? But then the more you do it and the more people respond to you doing it, the more your confidence grows. This is not ego boosting. It's not ego grooming. It's actually the reality of living from your heart and earning money from doing it. This thing of, do what you love and the money will follow. First of all, you have to be who you love. You have to be someone that you love being. And then you do what you love. The doing comes from the being. Doing something because you love chasing money, in my experience, doesn't usually last very long and is certainly unfulfilling. And you might as well have a job, except that I suppose if you know how to sell dog baskets or whatever it is, whatever the latest fad is, you might earn more money than you would have done from your employment. Maybe. I'm not interested in those things. That's me, and hopefully it's you, because you're here. Thank you. So you see, all your excuses are fear-based. They all are a way for you to try and run away from what you think might not work, might get you rejected, might lead to some kind of failure. But actually, you need to prepare to take the plunge if you're going to take charge of your life, take control of your life. Okay, so let me show you how that's done. And this is where I move you now into the being thing, because I need to move this slide so I can see it better. Fear is a choice. And everything that you do is a choice. Remember I said excuses are, that's a helpful word, because they're fear-based, and fear is a choice. Now, why is it a choice? Well, try this. Think about, for a moment, just bring to mind the friend or the person who makes you laugh the most. Just try that. I'm not going to ask you anything about who they are or why you know them or when you knew them or whatever. So it's completely personal. Just think about that for a moment. Now, as you bring that person to mind, and if you really don't have anyone that you can bring to mind, think of your favorite funny movie or comedian. Right, so when you bring that person, film, character, whatever, to mind, you feel different, right? You start to maybe have a little smile inside your mind. Maybe one even appears on your face. Maybe you're even giggling as I talk about it. Now, there's nothing actually there making you giggle, just your thought. You brought to mind, of your own volition, I know I prompted you, someone or something that makes you giggle or laugh a lot, hopefully. Now, that's a tiny, tiny, tiny little insight into NLP, because NLP is really about how we process information. But what I want you to understand is that what NLP teaches at its core is that your thoughts generate your feelings, and you are in charge of what you think and what you think about. We have millions, probably, by the time we're grown-ups, of habitual thought patterns. So some people are afraid of spiders or heights or whatever, for example, right? Now, the phobic person will very happily tell you, I know it's irrational, I know it's not really going to hurt me, but I still feel afraid. That's true. Right? And they think they have no choice. In fact, NLP can very quickly end phobias. It takes less than 10 minutes. Because NLP knows, or an NLP practitioner such as myself knows, how to change someone's thought pattern. But you can do this for yourself. Not necessarily with a phobia right now. I think you can do that to yourself as well, but I don't want to go down that road. What I want you to see is that you can think about the friend who makes you laugh the most, or you can also think about all the things in your life that have gone right so far. Because you know what? Most of us don't do that. Most of us think about what goes wrong and what could go wrong. What's the worst case scenario? Now, I'm not saying that we should be reckless, but actually, the next time you do that, the next time you say to yourself, well, what could go wrong? Ask yourself, what are the odds of it going wrong? Because the chances are it'll go right. Why? Because the odds are stacked in your favor. Most things work out perfectly most of the time. If they didn't, you probably wouldn't even be here. I don't just mean here on this training. I mean here on this planet. You know, the odds of us even being born are astronomically, are supposedly against us, and yet here we all are, 7 billion of us. And I know some of us get dealt a better hand in life, you know, than others. People in the third world struggle for the basics of life, and most of us don't, because we have computers and probably food in our bellies and in our fridges and larders as well. I understand there are inequalities, but that doesn't mean that we, the fortunate ones, have more choices than those poor folks as well. And if you want to help them, you need to exercise more of those choices if that's your back. But either way, you need to exercise more of your choices. Now, as you can see from my diagram here, because I don't want to dwell too long on this, your state, whether it's fear or pleasure, whatever it is made up of three elements: your beliefs, your self-talk, and your physiology. That makes up your state of mind. Your beliefs will be things like, I can't do it, for example. That's just the kind of person I am. No one can do that. That's a good global one. Nobody can. It's never been done. It can't be done. Ask Roger Bannister if it was possible to run the 4-minute mile. Right? Ask Henry Ford if it was possible to mass produce the motor car. Do you know, everyone thought that Henry Ford, everyone, I mean his wife, his children, his bankers and his friends told Henry Ford when he said he was going to mass produce the motor car that he was crazy. His bankers threatened to pull out their financing for him. They said nobody would want it. What was wrong with the horse-drawn carriage? It had been around for centuries and it worked perfectly well. It would be like Sir Richard Branson telling us that he's going to mass produce the helicopter today. It would sound as crazy as that. And if anybody's listening to a replay of this in 20 years' time, maybe it will have happened. But those are beliefs. Some of them will be personal, some of them will be global, but they're still only beliefs. If Henry Ford had listened to those people, we might have a very different world now. It's arguable whether he did us a favor or not, but I think that most of us would probably not want to be without the motor car. Right? Then there's the self-talk, what you say to yourself and how you scold yourself, the inner critic. You know you're kind of person. Oh, come on, you fall at the first hurdle. Don't even try that. You've done that before. Don't take risks. Play it safe. All of that stuff. And then the physiology. Now that's at the base of the triangle, because that's what holds the other two sides up, in my opinion. Physiology, most people realize easily that every emotional state has an accompanying physiology. So someone who's depressed shuffles along, has their head down, probably mumbles a bit, and so on. Someone who's triumphant jumps around, whoops, and punches the air, and so on. Those are physiologies. What people don't generally realize is that that's a two-way street. If you change your physiology, you feel different. And if you don't believe me, just get up and dance. Right? Dancing is a fantastic example of this, because as an activity, in terms of the activity to get from one side of the room to the other, for example, it is very silly. But there's only one reason why we dance. What is that reason? In fact, let me go and have a look at the chat box. Okay. Okay. Type into the chat box, what's the reason why you dance? Why anybody dances? The one reason. What is it? Just put that in the chat box. Come on, why do we dance? Somebody put it in the chat box. Why does anybody dance? Oh, hello. Hello, if you've just joined us, I will try and keep you up to date. I'm asking a question at the moment. Why do we dance? Yes. Sarah, thank you. To feel good, relaxed and happy. Exactly right. To feel good. There's no other reason to do that, right? There's absolutely no other reason to dance. It feels good to move your body to music, to rhythmically to move your body. It feels great. There's no other reason to do it. It's not for survival. It's not gonna put food on the table. Well, it might do if you're Fred Astaire, I suppose. But for most of us, it's just for fun. It feels great. Now, when you move your body and you feel good, that should clue you in to the fact that you have a lot of control. Now, I know you can't go to the office and start dancing around probably, and you certainly can't do it while you're stuck in a traffic jam, but you can smile. You can take a big deep breath and put a big grin on your face. You can square your shoulders. You can, if you're sitting, uncross your legs, unfold your arms, have a more open posture. You can just check to see where you're carrying tension in your neck or your shoulders or behind your knees, and just release it. It makes you feel better. Now, if you adopt the physiology of confidence, for example, and if you think, I've never been confident in my life, well, think of someone who is. Think of some character in a story or a film or movie who for you epitomizes supreme confidence. And just, you can try it now, even while you're listening to me. You don't even have to get up out of your chair or whatever position you're in. You might be lying down by now, listening to me, right? Just try thinking, well, if I was that person, how would I move if I was that person? You know, if you were, I don't know, James Bond confronting the villain. You know, there's no point in him going in with his teeth chattering and chewing his nails, is there? You know, he has to be cool and collected and confident, right? What kind of physiology does he have to do that? You change your physiology and the way you feel changes instantly. The beliefs, the negative ones, and the negative self-talk that were getting in the way of you taking the next step to achieve what you want will also fade or even disappear. It's easy to do, and it's at your fingertips. And most people don't realize they have that power. You want to change the way you feel, change your physiology. And therefore, fear is a choice. All you've got to do is become self-aware, become aware of it. I don't need to feel afraid. I could choose confidence, but then I'd have to take a step. Well, now I could choose confidence about that. More layers of it will come up. It's like, well, I don't have to feel that. That's self-talk. There's a belief there that it won't work, and I can't do it, and I've never succeeded before, and interesting. And how many people do you think are at the top of their game now ever felt that way? Yes, most of them. People don't usually, some do more than others, depends on your upbringing, but they don't usually kind of go from in a straight line, as it were, from, you know, birth to total success without some setbacks, some knocks to confidence, some people undermining them, some people trying to knock them off their pedestal, and so on. In fact, if they never had a challenge to face, they would be pretty much useless, because the first time life did throw them a curveball, they would just crumble. You know, and I'm thinking of people like Anthony Robbins, Sir Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, people who are amazing at what they do. None of them came up to, you know, to the position they're in now in life without serious hard knocks. And I'm pretty sure you can't come up with any examples of anyone who ever has. What's the difference between them and the rest of us? They chose, whether they were conscious of doing it or not, to find a way through, round, over, or under their fears. They kept their eye on the prize and kept going. Enough on that one. So let's recap on some of the things we've said already. You are unique. Only you can say whatever it is your way. It's okay for not everyone to like you. Right? That's the big fear. What if people don't like me? Well, guess what? There's 7 billion of them. They're not all going to like you. In fact, most of them will never even hear of you. Okay? And of the handful that do, which might be a few dozen to maybe a few million, some of them won't like you, but enough of them will. I'd never heard of anybody who was 100% popular with absolutely everybody. And I don't care how far back you go, in biblical times or pre-biblical times, you'll still find even the good guys and girls in those stories had the dissenters and their enemies. You might remember a few. Just come from your heart, come from integrity, your highest values, and have the intention to make others' lives better, and you will succeed. You will break through. Now, I hope you're realizing that this is a very unusual, before I go to that slide, very unusual presentation, because what I'm doing here is I'm giving you the process of how to make yourself successful in the practical steps. Find a problem, find your market, find out what the pain points are, present it, right? Create a product and present it and put yourself in the frame. Say, hey, this is me, I know how to fix that. That's perfectly fine. But I'm also wanting you to see that to make that happen, you have to believe in you. And that's about how you are, not what you do. Being, not doing. It needs both, but the doing comes from the being. Now look, if you're thinking about, yeah, but I really don't know anything, you do. You know. Relationship issues. I'm willing to bet, and I do know some of you on this webinar a little bit, but none of you know. I know in depth. We've all had relationship issues, whether you're in one right now, out of one right now, you've been in some, heck, you had parents, you had a relationship with them, you certainly had a relationship with your mother for 9 months, that's for sure. Okay? And, but relationship issues with your boss, your colleagues, your employees, your local counselor, maybe whoever, as well as, of course, the more intimate ones. You know, how to make them work, how to keep them going, how to get back into them when you've been dumped, how to have confidence to date. I mean, there are just a bazillion relationship issues. Had any problems there that you overcame? You found a way of doing it? Maybe. Health matters. Now, obviously, if you're not a qualified health practitioner, I don't want you to be putting yourself in line for lawsuits here. So you can't tell people, you know, I know the cure for cancer if you actually don't. You have to be careful with that kind of stuff. But there are lots of grandma's remedy kind of things that work for people. And obviously, health includes the enormous weight loss industry and market and diet and so on. But it's not just that. Keeping fit, putting on weight, still bodybuilding and so on. There's lots for that. Have you got a tip or an idea about, you know, how to keep fit in middle age, for example? That's a big market now, growing market, because the baby boomers, people in my age group. Money matters. What have you solved about money? Getting out of debt, how to invest it well, how to gamble it well, how to trade on the foreign exchange markets. You got some tip about that? All kinds of stuff. And the personal success and achievement markets, anything to do with self-confidence, achieving achieving in any of the other categories there, relationship, health, and money, the big three. All of those things are evergreen markets. It doesn't matter, they're recession-proof, you know, are not unlike fashion things. I mean, you might know how to, I don't know, how to do up a particular kind of shoe buckle or something, but that's probably not going to be around in a year or two. You see what I mean? So I'm talking about the big overarching issues that affect all of humanity in life. And people have pain around many subsections of any of those issues there. Think about your own history. Think about your life. What problem have you solved that your friends, your colleagues, your relatives would come to you and go, can you just tell me again how you do so-and-so? Because that's the thing that other people want to know about as well. And you have a way of explaining it that other people want more of. And that's important for you to know. I always say, be a dog with a bone. Keep digging. You need to find the pain point questions. You'll find them, as I said before, on forums, in Facebook groups. Now, another tip here, go to competitors' sites and look at the sales pages. You don't necessarily have to buy the product, although you can if you want to. Just look at the sales pages and the bullet points where they say, you'll get this, you'll get this, you'll get this, you'll get this. What are they saying? Because those will, if they've been done properly and they're selling well, if you go to the best selling pages, they will be, those have been carefully tailored to match their market research and the questions they discovered people are asking in this particular market. So you can short circuit, if you're in a similar market, the research. Join relevant Facebook groups and set up a poll. Hey, what's your biggest problem with collecting butterflies? Play dumb on the forums and the Facebook pages and say, ask people, I'm trying to achieve the answer to the question that actually goes, can anyone help me, and see what they come up with. There's a place called Yahoo Answers as well. Just type it in, and you'll find every subject under the sun there. People answer other people's questions. See if you can find what people are talking about. What are the popular answers, and what are the popular questions? Because that's where you get a clue about something you can do, create a product that will help. Weave a magic spell. You can always interview an expert. Google Hangouts, which is where we are right now, are free, right? Find someone who's got the answers to some of the things that you would like to know as well, and ask them if they will be your interview subject. They often will, if you say to them that you'll give them a copy of the recording afterwards, and if there are any sales from it, you'll share the money. Sometimes they don't need the second incentive. It depends who you're asking and what market you're in. Find one or two ideas from your research that you like, and test them. If you think you really don't know, I know how to make, I don't know, a cupcake in 5 minutes in the microwave, perhaps, right? So if that's well, test it out first, because what if you get an explosion of crumbs all over the kitchen? It doesn't work. You really don't want to be selling people an idea that you haven't actually tested out for yourself, and then record the results. I mean, record them, really. Like if you're doing something like that, record it with a camera, and then you've got a video product you can sell. Right, where do you get the traffic? Well, joint venture with the JV stands for joint venture, in case you don't know. So you do a business deal with them, and you say, look, I'll give you some of the money, or even all of the money to begin with, because that establishes a mailing list for you. Outside of IM stands for internet marketing. This is a tip. Offer a maximum of $1 per 1,000. That's a maximum to send an email to forum members. Now, you can often find forums. Well, you will find forums in just about every subject. If it's popular, there'll be forums for it. There will be forums. There are many forums, for example, about dating, and there will be about butterfly collecting and any hobby you can name, fishing. And I don't know why I keep mentioning butterfly collecting. I don't collect butterflies. I never have. But many of those forums have millions of members, or hundreds of thousands. And if you can find the administrators of the forums, which are often not difficult to find, just go to the forum and look for their names. You can email them and say, look, how would you feel about sending an email to the members to offer them something that I've got, okay? And the maximum I would offer would be $1 per 1,000 members. So if there are 10,000 members, you just say, well, look, I'll give you $10 to send that email, right? But see what you get. People will. A lot of these forum owners have never even thought of doing that. If you're in the internet marketing or money making areas, then they've thought of it. But the hobbyists, no, they just do it for fun, and then, oh, okay, yeah, I could do that. Some will, some won't, but you lose nothing by asking. Buy revenue share on Opti pages. Opti stands for other people's thank you pages. Right now, you may have noticed when you buy something online, it takes you to a page that says something like, thank you for your purchase. Here's where to download whatever. Those pages are often overlooked by the owners of the products. They have nothing else on them other than thank you, and here's the whatever link you need. You could say to them, look, you're getting quite a lot of sales there. Would you be willing to put up another advert or a link to one of my pages, and we'll share the proceeds, or I will pay for the advert to be there. And again, I wouldn't offer more than like $1 per 1,000 hits, that kind of money. It's cheap. And we'll share them. Either they get paid or you share the proceeds, for which you'll need what's called an affiliate link, which is too technical for today, but not difficult to do. And then the Aweber Get Response trick is about Aweber and Get Response, in case you don't know, are what are called autoresponders. They are how people set up their mailing lists. And if you take those formats there that I've put on the screen here, and type those into Google. So you literally type site:/forms.aweber.com and the plus sign, and then instead of keyword, you would put in butterfly collecting, if I'm going to stick with that one, right? And you will find that what will come up will be pages with the forms, excuse me, that people have put up on their websites to do with that topic that's collecting data. So join the mailing list. Use a spare email address for it if you're going to do this a lot, because you'll end up with a lot of newsletters and emails. But join the mailing list and then reply to it when you get an email, because you will get an email straight away saying thanks for joining. Reply to it, because that will go to the list owner and say, hey, I've just joined your mailing list, really love what you're doing. Are you interested in doing business with me? I've got a product that relates to your market. I'm just starting out. You can just be honest with them. And you can send them a sample of the product, and we could share the money. There's no harm in asking. Sometimes people won't answer you. That's because sometimes they're busy or they're not there anymore, but it's not because they're rude. That's very rare. Sometimes they'll say, no, I'm not interested in doing that. And that's okay too. It doesn't mean they don't like you. It just means they don't want to do that. And some will say, yeah, okay, let's try it. You've got nothing to lose. And the same thing with GetResponse. It's slightly different, site.getresponse.com plus the keyword, and that will get you the lists in the same way. You might want to jot those down. Be an alchemist. Test your new knowledge, right? You're going to turn it into gold. Test your new knowledge. Keep a record of your experience. Put it on video. It's easy now. Got a phone in your pocket, it's probably got a camera on it. They're pretty good, and you can upload them to YouTube, or just keep notes and turn it into text, PDF, documents, easy to download. Teach it. Then you've got the next product. You teach it, then that is the next product, and then you just keep going around that cycle. And the more you do, the more you'll discover that you know, because one layer leads to the next and the next and the next. And pretty soon, literally within weeks, sometimes faster, people will start, not everybody, not billions of people, but enough people to give you business will start getting to know you are the go-to expert that I want to ask about whatever your topic is. Become the sorcerer, not the apprentice. Sell the journey, your how I made it story. Remember I told you right back at the beginning, something about my story. All right? I wasn't always able, or didn't believe I was always able, perhaps that's more accurate, to make my living doing what I love and to make money online. And what I've shared with you here today is what I've reverse engineered to understand those ingredients. It's partly what you do, and partly when you come from that confident place, and that is something you can learn to be. I really hope I've got that message across. That's a choice, and I know it doesn't feel like a choice. It's like, but I am nervous. I'm not very confident. That's just the way I am. And if you've given yourself those messages for most of your life, it's going to feel like that's something that you're stuck with, but you're really not. Just try changing your physiology. Bring the friend who makes you laugh the most to mind, and instantly you will get that actually, if I can do that, then I must be in control. If I can change the way I feel just by thinking about something different, making myself giggle by thinking about the friend who makes me laugh, I must be in control. I can change the way I feel. So why would I think that I can't do that about lack of confidence, for example? Makes you think, don't it? Right? Your students will tell you what they need to know as well. Your job is to research, test, and teach. So as you get more and more coaching students or people on your program, excuse me, they'll tell you, because they'll ask you questions. And you'll know the answers because you're in an area that you love and you care about, you have a passion for. And now you have the structure of an ongoing coaching program. Now, here's the problem, because I want you to imagine that it's your first day at school. See, because I've just dumped a whole load of information on you and you're keen to learn, but the teacher just drops this huge book and says, right, go away and learn that, and I'll be back in 3 months when your exams are ready. And you've just got this huge amount of stuff to learn. And the next day that happens again. He comes in, another book, here's another subject, go and learn that one. Bye, see you in 3 months. And the next day, and in fact, that happens every day for, let's say, 18 weeks until the exams are upon you. What if that happened in high school? How well do you think you'd have done? I don't think that needs an answer. It's rhetorical. So, but that's exactly what happens when you get a ton of information dropped on you. Now, I know that today I've given you a lot of information. I hope I've made you think, and I hope I've made you feel. But now the risk is that what you'll do with it is you'll go on to the next webinar or the next training or what's called the next shiny object. Well, that, what Trevor Emdon said was really interesting. But now what? It's because it's a lot. Right? And you end up trying to make sense of it all. But really, eventually, if you, as a day or two drifts by, your head will just be full of muddle. That's the risk. Now, don't get me wrong. One-off trainings like these have a place, and you can pick up, and I hope you have picked up, golden nuggets and be inspired for a while. Psychological tests have shown that in 16 days, when you take in a bunch of new information, you've forgotten pretty much everything you learned today, even if you took notes, because the notes will help, but most people never read them again. They go into a drawer, they go into a file on your computer somewhere, even in some box under the bed, and nobody ever looks at them. One-off trainings are fine if you're just treating your internet business as a hobby. But if you seriously want to change, it's not a hobby. If you want to make money out of it, then you have to say, I want that to be my business. Or if you're someone who really only has a few pennies to rub together and you really can't afford anything else. And if you're one of those people, I wish you absolutely the best of luck. And I do hope that you stumble on something that works. I have given you here enough information to make it work. This is how I did it. I've missed out nothing. But I realize it's a lot to take in one hit. For the more serious person who's willing to invest in the right tools to secure the future of their dreams, then I have something that will succeed for you where all others fail. Now, I am aware that I promised there's nothing for sale here today, and I keep my promises. I'm not going to ask you for any money. There's nothing here to buy. You can't buy this. But I do have a brand new coaching program. It's called Broke Zero to Profit Hero. And it will take you to at least your first $1,000 day online. That's $1,000 minimum in a day online in 8 weeks or less. That's the goal of the program. 8 weeks or less, $1,000 day. But it's only available by application. And if you want to apply for it, I will tell you how to do that in a moment. Before I do that, I promised that I would give away a little gift. And so I'm going to do that right now as a thank you to the people who came. So I should be able to, this is just a little Prezi for you, but it's a confidence booster. And I've got a message that says that's published to all attendees. So you should have a link to click, which when you do that will take you to a little PDF gift, which is yours to keep. And I may, if I'm very mean, edit that out of replays. I may do. It may be too tricky because we're a long way into the recording now. So if you're on a replay and I didn't edit that out, you're lucky. And I think the link shows up on the replay too. Okay, so here's what happens in Broke Zero to Profit Hero coaching. You get 8 weeks, you get 8 weekly video trainings, so 1 per week, which give you all the tools, tips, and creativity generators you need to start creating your first product, right? So I've opened up your mind quite a lot here this evening, or today, I hope. But it might be, I'll give you a lot more in depth than that. Also, how to attract the traffic in abundance without the need to spend a single cent or penny. I will also show you some paid ways as well, but they do not have to be expensive. A little budget on traffic does speed the process up, but it's perfectly possible to do it for free. Also, I will show you in depth how to position yourself as the go-to expert in whatever field you choose. Almost anything this will work with. And obviously there are some ideas and markets that are so obscure that they won't work. But if you follow the principles I've taught you here today about, it's got to be a problem that people have their own issues with, then, as long as there are other people out there asking questions about the same topic, it'll work, okay? And how to command 3- and 4-figure prices for your work, even if you're new to the web or the market and you've never done anything like this before. People will pay you high ticket money to have your information. They will. In addition, I'll show you how to research your market properly so you'll have hungry buyers from the beginning, and how to make sure you give them exactly what they want. The closer you get to that match, the more hungry they are for your information. And this is what makes me stand out from the crowd, my unique twist, because I am going to also give you all the personal development training, the additional training to get you past all the limiting beliefs, the worries, the fears, the objections, and excuses that have held you back so far, because excuses are just a choice. It doesn't mean to beat yourself up and blame yourself. It doesn't mean the dog ate my homework excuse. Okay, now nobody else offers this mix. Many teachers will give you a tip or two about positive mindset. If you've ever tried internet marketing online, you will probably know you can get PDFs or video programs where in the introduction, the trainer says, right, first of all, you must believe in yourself, have a success mindset, take action is usually the big thing that they want you to do, which is fair enough. But nobody will keep you motivated like I do, because no one else understands the pitfalls and the tripwires at each step of the way like I do. Okay, so each step of the way, in addition to the video about what to do, you're going to get an MP3 about how to be, right? And I will that's not just instructions, not like be like this. It's actually NLP based techniques and ideas that you can use, like I've taught you today about changing your body language. That actually makes you feel different straight away. I will give you in-depth but easy to follow processes that you can listen. You can listen in the car. Most of them are not hypnotic, so that'll be fine. If they are going to be hypnotic, I'll tell you on the recording, don't listen to this while you're driving. But you can listen to them on the go. Okay, so these are not videos. I've deliberately made them MP3s, recordings, so you can download them onto any device, your phone or just your computer or whatever. Pop in a pair of earbuds and you can listen to them wherever, right? Because how to be out of your being will come your success, and that will keep you going. That's where the motivation comes from. There is no other program like this one. Okay, so as I said, there's nothing to buy here today. The only way to get into Broke Zero to Profit Hero coaching is by application. And when you apply, I will personally consider each one. It doesn't mean that you're in. Okay, and I will contact those people I believe are committed to turning their dreams into actual reality. Right now, I will probably contact everyone who applies, even if you're not successful. But I'm only taking people who are really wanting to take their lives to the next level. Okay, so in order to apply, if you're accepted, sorry, missed a slide, you'll be able to start straight away. You will need to commit 5 to 10 hours a week for up to 8 weeks to get the results you want. I say up to 8 weeks. The program will take 8 weeks to complete, whatever, but you should start seeing results before that. Depends where you are on your own ladder and how fast you work, but you can get results pretty quickly. And you won't be accepted if you can't commit to that. So 5 to 10 hours. If you can't give up a couple of television programs or reading the paper in bed or whatever it is you do, then you won't make it. You need to put in a bit of time, obviously, to any business, and that's minimal. So so that's the minimal requirement, that you're willing to commit that kind of time. I may call you by Skype before taking you on. I may not, but some people, it's just obvious that when they apply, they want to start, and we'll just email them the details. And the doors will close, because I'm only going to take on a limited number, because for people who take the platinum level program, which I can't spell, by the way, I will coach you in groups live twice a month. So in addition to the video and the MP3 coaching, and there may be other stuff in there. There'll be some PDFs, some cheat sheets, some workbooks, and that kind of thing. And I may add more to it as I go along. But as it is at the moment, it's pretty amazing. But for the people who take platinum level, I'm going to coach you live, two coaching sessions a month. So any questions and answers that you have, or any questions that you have, any problems you're encountering, any self-doubt, I will be there live twice a month. Okay, for people who just take the gold level program, there will still be regular contact with me, because all of you who get into the program will be entered into an exclusive Facebook group, which I will be dipping into most days. Obviously, you can speak to each other in there as well, but I will also be there. So if you want to apply, the link is wizardofwisdom.com broke zero -application, and I'm going to send that link out now as well. Hopefully that will come on the screen. I think that's come up on the screen. I hope it has. Maybe you can tell me in the chat box if it didn't appear. But there is the link in writing. Hopefully it did appear, because I can't see that. I can only see my presenter screen. I can't see what you can see. So wizardofwisdom.com /broke zero -application. wizardofwisdom.com /broke zero -application. Okay, and so, ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to the end of my presentation, and so I will take any questions that you have, and thank you so much for your patience, and I hope that it's been useful to you. Perhaps if you've enjoyed yourself, perhaps you'd like to, or not, if there's any feedback you want to put into the chat box as well. I'll try not to, you know, if you want to throw the plants, my father used to say, please take them out of the pot first. But anyway, so I'm now looking at the chat box. If you have any questions that you want to ask me about anything that we've covered here today, whether it's about the technical stuff, whether it's about the personal development stuff, whether it's about the Broke Zero to Profit Hero coaching program. And in fact, I think, I will type into the chat box. I'm going to put the public chat on. I'm going to just type that link into the chat box. It's wizardofwisdom.com /broke zero -application. Okay. So it's in the chat box as well now, so you should be able to access the link from there if you didn't get it the other way. Okay, folks, anything you would like to ask me, anything you want to comment on, anything you need to say about any of what we've covered here today? I will just hold on for a few moments. Okay, looks like, thank you. Some people joined us a little late, so I'm not sure how much you missed. And thank you for being here. There will be a replay for a short while, so all of you will get information about that, where you can watch it again, but that may not go up today. So watch your emails. Okay. Okay, there are no questions appearing in the chat box right now. So either I have I have silenced you all, or you have a very long question to type, maybe, and perhaps that's what's going on. Just hold on a little bit longer. Okay, so that link again is wizardofwisdom.com/broke0-application. And there's an application form there that you can complete. Should take you about 10 minutes, I would guess. David, I know I'm not going to discuss prices today because I think that's there will be some offers available to early applicants that may not be available when I put up the replay. So I don't want to publicly broadcast pricing at the moment. But just bear in mind that you will be earning money back pretty quickly if you follow the program. When you follow the program. Yeah, I have in mind some early bird deals that later on will be removed. So I don't know when people will be watching this. So I'm sorry. It's a fair question. I hope you understand my reasons for not wanting to put that out on a broadcast that I don't know how it might be being replayed a long time from now. The chat box isn't working. Well, it must be because I'm getting your questions. Okay, folks, anything else before we wrap this up? I'll just I mean, I don't mind how long we stay here. You're welcome. Thank you for answering. You're welcome. I'm happy to stay if you have questions, because there are quite a few of you still on the call. So I'm guessing that that there are things that you are chewing over. You're very welcome. Thank you, Sarah. There seems to be a delay. Okay, that I can live with that. I'm still here if you're still there. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, folks, well, we've been going just coming up to an hour and a half now, so as I say, I really don't mind staying here longer, but I do want to be respectful of your time as well. So I'm mindful of the potential delay in the chat box, but things do seem to be getting through. So I think if nothing else comes through in the next 20 to 30 seconds, we will call this a wrap. Okay. So once again, thank you very, very much for your time and attention. I appreciate you staying right the way through the presentation. As I say, I hope it's been of use to you. I will be following up with a replay. The replay will only be up for a short time, because this recording will be used in other ways later on. I think that's the plan. So please, watch your emails for news of that in the next. Probably won't go up today, but by tomorrow you should have information about the replay. So, folks, thank you so much again. I really appreciate that you gave up some of your time to be here. And I'm Trevor Emden. I'm hoping that I will see all of your applications for the Broke Zero to Profit Hero coaching program. But if not, I wish you all the very best with whatever your goals and ambitions are. One way or another, I will see you on the way to the top. Thanks again for being here. Bye-bye.